We have 2 more seasons to win Serie A if we're going to pass our challenge for this rebuild with Sampdoria. This is season 4. We've qualified for the Champions League. Let's see if we can actually do well in the Champions League, and can we get closer to winning Serie A? Welcome to season 4 of the rebuild with Sampdoria, and we'll start with the transfer business because the transfer window has slammed shut, as they like to say. And to be honest, there's not really a great deal to tell you. In terms of players going out, we've not made any money. Lorenzo Costatino went to Aglianesi, something like that, on a free transfer, and Simone Leonardi went to Stabæk on a free transfer. And that is basically it. We have had obviously a load of players have been released. If we go to the released players section, we've had all of these were released at the end of last season. So Marco Sommer, Matteo Ricci, Luigi Anquino, Marco Bontempi, Giovanni Gaffi, Danny Tassendi, Ardit Licker and Daniel Balba. Other than Licker and Balba, the rest of them are all in the first team squad before. Danny Tassendi is a player we actually did bring in for 1.8 million. He served a purpose for us, to be fair. He did play quite a few games for us. He has now gone, like I say, on a free transfer, but he served his purpose. He's not a bad player, to be fair. I was tempted to keep him around, but in the end, I just felt weren't worth it. We just let him go. And then we get to the players in. Where are we? All transfers this season. There you go. The first 2 you may well have known about from part 3 of last week's video. Mario Martin from Real Madrid B can play in the defensive midfield position as a deep line playmaker, can also play in the more advanced midfield position as a Mazzala. He's come in on a free transfer at the end of his contract from Real Madrid B. He's a pretty decent player. You know, he's got a little bit of potential as well. And he's highly determined. And yeah, I like him. I think he's got the potential to do pretty decently well for us as well. Borja as well from Real Madrid B comes in on a free transfer. And yeah, he's been at Real Madrid all his career. I'm not sure if he's ever actually played for the actual... Oh, he's made a few appearances there for the actual Real Madrid team. But yeah, he comes in. He can play in the more advanced position. He can play as a Mazzala. We could adopt the box-to-box midfield role, even though he doesn't really want to be a box-to-box midfielder. But he can also play out on the left as well, play in the middle, can do a little bit of a role as a deep line playmaker in the defensive area of the field. It's just, as I said previously, it's more about bringing in better options for the squad so that I can rotate more and hopefully have less injuries. But whether that works or not is another matter. The main signing we've got those Fabio has come in from Borussia Mönchengladbach for 14.75 million. We did pay that all up front as well, because it's part of his release clause. He is basically Wisdom Amy's replacement, who's now gone back to his parent club, Manchester City, after being loaned to us for last season. 21-year-old German, 5-star potential centre-back. He is a very good player to bring in at a pretty decent price as well. If we have a look at his career, he started off with Werder Bremen, then went to Borussia Mönchengladbach for 1.7 million. Never really been a first team with him. Maybe in his first season there, he was a first team. I think he must have been on loan that season. But other than that, he's not really been a first teamer for him. But he did make 16 appearances last season, 6 of those being starts, 7.04. As you can see for us already this season, 4 appearances, got an assist, he's got a player of the match award, a 7.12. He's an important player for us. If we look at our team in terms of when we go out for our next game, what I'll do is I'll pick the best 11 first. This is basically our best 11. It would have Fabio Ponzi on the bench, but he's obviously on the bench, but he's injured. He's out for up to three weeks with a pulled calf muscle. Pedro de la Vega has been out injured for a few weeks as well. He's back very soon. So this would really be our first choice team with our sub bench here. Marco Niccolini, by the way, is a player I had to bring in and put on the bench for our most recent game because of the injuries that we've been having right at the start of the season. So that whole rotation option doesn't seem to be working, quite honestly. But he's a 6-foot centre-back. He's only 17 years old. He's going to be with the first team. And we'll see if we can maybe make a player out of him. But yeah, that's a bit off topic anyway. And then when we look at our second team, our second 11 looks like that, I think, is a much better option than what we had last season, especially when you look at Martin, Borja and Ndombele as the three midfielders. You've got Monash and Navarro out wide. You've got Mires up top, Ponzi, Riccio as your fullbacks, Torreira and Giorgini in the centre of defence as well. If I think I'm short in one area, I'd say it's probably left back. In an ideal world, I'd have had Ponzi as right back for my second string team with Riccio in the centre of Giorgini. But because we don't have another left back, we have kind of put ourselves in a position where we are short in that area. But that's also where Marco Nicolini comes into it as well, because as well as being a centre back, he can play at left back. And that is an area that I'm going to be looking at trying to utilise him in a little bit this season as well. If we have a look at the finances, we've got 14 million in the bank. Bear in mind, we've just been given £12 million for the Champions League money. So the Champions League is the reason why we're actually doing okay financially. Transfer budget, we've got nothing left in that. We had 26 million, I think it was. We spent 15 of it, and then we've basically had to move a load more into wage budget, and we're still £16,000 overspent on our wage budget. I don't know if the club are holding that against me at the moment. Let's have a look at the vision. At the moment, they're saying we're on course for our wage budget. What I'm hoping we can do is when you get that email halfway through the season to raise what you want to achieve. So at the moment, the club vision is that we finish in mid-table of Serie A. If we're actually in the top half, then maybe it'll give me the option to say finish top half, and we can get a bit more money in the wage budget for that as well. We're passing everything else. The supporters are delighted and pretty happy anyway. And yeah, so that's the finances. If we then look at the dynamics, team cohesion is very good, which it should be. We've not really brought that many players in. Club atmosphere is excellent and going up. Managerial support is very good and going up. So everything is looking really rather well in that respect. Let's have a look at the schedule. And pre-season has been very decent, actually. We had one defeat against Atalanta, where we did actually have our first choice team playing in that game, but we lost 3-1. But then we played Atalanta on the first game of the season, beat them 3-1 with Emmanuel Pecorino, Luka Tapalovic and Tanguy Ndombele all getting on the score sheet in that game. 3-1 win is a nice win. It was a very even game, to be fair. And the scoreline probably does flatter us a little bit. I mean, Atalanta did actually have a slightly better XG than what we did. So, yeah, maybe a little bit flattering the scoreline, but I'll take the win. I don't mind, especially as we did go 1-0. Quite interesting that Rasmus Højlund, because this is played in your world mode, not real life or anything like that. Rasmus Højlund obviously hadn't made his move to Manchester United, and he still hasn't. In game, he is still very much at Atalanta. He's got a contract for another 4 years. I mean, he does look very, very good. I don't know how he's not even got a wanted sign near his name, which I find quite incredible, really. But yeah, 3-1 win against Atalanta was a perfect start to the season. We then played Inter Milan and beat them 3-2 at home. Goals in this game from Topolovic and 2 from Leris, and Ndombele had a goal disallowed as well. That's where De La Vega picked up his injury. And when you look at the stats, again, it was another pretty close game. I say we did slightly edge it, so the 3-2 scoreline is probably a reflection of that. Although when you consider our XG is 0.81, to actually score 3 goals, we massively overperformed our XG. Then we played AS Roma. As you can see, this is a really difficult start to the season. And a 3-0 win against AS Roma. Goals from Mires, Borja getting his first goal for us, and Navarro. And as you can see, we did actually go with a rotated team in this game. Not fully rotated, but we had Ndombele in midfield, Della Monash out here. I think the rest of it was actually what you'd expect from our first team. But this is basically because of Della Vega being out. We played Della Monash. And not sure why we played Ndombele instead of Tapalovic. He must have had a slight injury, Tapalovic. I can't quite remember why I didn't play him, actually. He's not on the subs bench, so he must have had a slight injury, which kept him out, which, yes, he has actually just come back from injury. Then we played Hellas Verona and a 2-0 win against them. And again, as you can see from the team, Ndombele has played, Della Monash has played as well. Mires got the nod in this game. Martin Borges. So this was a rotated team against Hellas Verona, and Falcone stuck around in goal. But other than that, it was pretty much a full rotated team. Mir is getting on the score sheet, and Ponzi from an Ndombele assist as well. When you look at the stats, again, pretty even. The shots on target was the same. The shots on goal was a few more for us. We did have a better XG. We did have much more possession. And that's with a rotated team. So that's what I mean about how good our rotated team seems to be this season. But Miriz has a couple of goals. Pecorino is on the score sheet. Borja has got a goal. Yeah, we're getting goals. We have conceded 3, but we are scoring as well. This really does feel like a good team. And like I say, Atalanta, Inter, Roma, that is a tough start to the season. We've then got Juventus next, who, by the way, are 14th in the league. Then we've got a couple of Champions League games. Then we've got Sassuolo, who are 5th. Napoli. I mean, we've got some really tough games in Serie A. If we have a look at the Champions League, show you what our draw is for that. We've got Dynamo, Tottenham, Real Madrid, Dortmund, Braga, Liverpool, PSV, Stuttgart. That feels tough. Dynamo seems like it's our easiest game. Braga, VfB, Stuttgart, potentially winnable games there. But Tottenham, Real Madrid, Dortmund and Liverpool, that just feels like a really tough draw. It really does. I don't think we're qualifying in the top 8, which is your automatic round of 16 spot. If we can get a place between 9th and 24th, then, and I'd probably be disappointed if we didn't get a place in this area, to be honest. If we can get a spot between 9th and 24th to get us in that knockout playoff round thing, then I would be pretty happy with that. That's what we managed to do with Kaiserslautern. So hopefully we can do the same with Sampdoria as well. Obviously, if we finish top 8, I'd love that even more. But get into this round here, and I think that is pretty decent for our first season back in the Champions League. Now, one thing I do want to show you as well, something I saw when I was just having a look at things. Obviously, this is our competition screen. The Italian Cup hasn't got underway for us yet. We enter in the 3rd round. The Italian Super Cup says here the competition begins on the 31st of December 2026 in 117 days' time. Next round on the 6th of January, semi-final. Now, as soon as I saw that, I was like, why is there a semi-final? Well, surely the Italian Super Cup is basically the same as the German Super Cup or the English Community Shield, things like that. And then when you look here, you see that it's us against Atalanta, it's AC Milan against Inter Milan. So I'm pretty certain that is last season's top 4 in the Premier League. If we just have a look at that. AC, oh no, it's not actually. AC, Atalanta. So you've got Inter Milan. Did they win the Italian Cup? No, we won that, didn't we? So we won. So you've got AC Milan as the league winners, Atalanta as the runners-up, then us and Inter Milan. I have no idea how Inter Milan have qualified for the Italian Cup. I mean, I know it was Inter Milan. Did we beat them in the final last year? Let me. Oh, go away. Right, let's go back to last season. Can we go back to last season? Right, might be easier if we go to our schedule. Add in all the competitions and then go back on our schedule. So yeah, we beat Inter Milan. So there's the 2 finalists from the Italian Cup and the teams that finished 1st and 2nd in, what's it called, in Serie A. So it's us as the winners against 2nd in the league and league winners against the runners-up. Okay, I can kind of see the logic that they're doing for that now. But what then confused me is when I went to the schedule, because I wanted to see where this fitted in with the rest of our games. And you've got here, no, it's the wrong season. Here we go. I won't get so confused here. So Atalanta, Super Cup semi-final, neutral venue. So I was like, well, where are we playing this? We're playing it in the Dubai Sports City multi-purpose stadium. Why are we playing a Super Cup semi-final in Dubai for during our season? We've got a game against Fiorentina on the 3rd, and then we've got to fly out to Dubai to play Atalanta. We're then due in 4 days' time to play Calgary, And then in 3 days after that, the Italian Cup third round. So if we beat Atalanta, when does the final take place? I'm assuming the game against Cagliari will be moved so we can play the final straight away, so we just stay in Dubai. Because otherwise, if we end up having, say they move the Italian Cup third round, we'll be playing Fiorentina, flying to Dubai, then fly back from Dubai for the game against Cagliari, then back out to Dubai for the final, and then back again for the game against Roma. That just makes no sense. It can only be money orientated. If you know anything about Italian football and about the Italian Super Cup, let me know in the comments how long they've been playing that in Dubai, because that just seems madness. It really does. But anyway, I think we'll call it there for part one. That's my rant over with for part one anyway. I'm sure I'll have a new one for part two. But let's move over to part two now. And by the time you come back, we would have played the Super Cup, so we'll know exactly how that turns out. And we'll also know whether we've qualified for the round of 16 of the Champions League. And we'll also know if we're in with a shout of challenging for the Serie A title. So we're here on the competitions page. And as you can see, with Serie A, we go to there first. We are fifth in the table. We've had a pretty brutal first half of the season. We'll get to what happened and the reasons why shortly. But we're fifth in the table. We're 3 points behind Fiorentina and Juventus that are in third and fourth respectively. And we do have 2 games in hand. So if we win both our games in hand, we will be clearly in third position and only a few points behind Napoli in second. AC Milan top on 54 points. They really are the team to beat when it comes to Serie A. If you look at last season, we finished the league, what was it, 12 points behind AC Milan. We were in second, I believe it was, and they were in first. I think we finished, no, we weren't, we were in fourth. What am I on about second? I wish we were second. But 13 points behind last season. This season, we're 12 points behind at the moment. We do have 1 game in hand over those. So there is a chance that we could close the gap. But I think it's safe to say winning Serie A is off the cards for this season, which means it will all come down to next season's final episode next week as to whether we can topple the giants of AC Milan. If you look at how we've done, 12 wins, 5 draws, 4 defeats, 46 goals scored, which is around the top end of the table. Fiorentina look like they've got the most with 47, but 46 will certainly put us joint second, I think. 27 goals conceded. We've been a bit more leaky this season than previous seasons. I mean, Napoli have only conceded 14 goals. AC Milan have only conceded 16 goals. They're definitely better than us defensively, as are Fiorentina. I think we then fit in pretty evenly. I mean, Atalanta, to be fair, have also only conceded 23. So we're probably about fifth in terms of defensive records. If we go to the schedule and have a look at how we've been doing in the league, you were with us after we beat Hellas Verona. And the next game we played was Juventus. And that was a 3-2 defeat away from home against the team currently in fourth. Then we had our first Champions League game against Dynamo. We won that 3-0. That was a game that I kind of looked at and thought we need to be winning this game if we want to get into that playoff knockout round thing that we're currently in. Then we played Tottenham, who I thought we would lose this game. You know, we was away from home as well. Tottenham are very good in this game. And we got a 1-1 draw. I was like, absolutely, I'm going to take that. Then we played Sassuolo and got a 2-2 draw in there. And it was around this time that we started to get a lot of injuries. And I mean, a lot. It was quite barbaric. I'll show you the medical centre soon. Then we played Napoli and lost 1-0. And as you see, our form here just absolutely went. Salento, we picked up a 3-1. Now, bear in mind, Salento at the time were 20th in the table. I suspect they still are 20th and they are probably going to get relegated. We then played Real Madrid in the Champions League. I expected to lose this game and we did 2-0. Then we played Frosinone in the league, who are around the same position as us. But disappointingly, we got quite comfortably beaten 3-1. Then we picked up a 2-2 draw away to Udinese before a 2-2 draw in the Champions League away to Borussia Dortmund. And again, this was a game that I thought we would probably end up losing. So the fact that we got a draw from this, I was, again, like with the Tottenham game, I was very pleased with that. Then we played Torino in the league and won 5-1. And we started to actually get some of our players back. But then, as you can see, De La Vega then picked up an injury. And it just felt like injuries were just never going to stop. Then we come up against AC Milan, the league leaders, the league holders. A 1-1 draw away from home against them. I think that's a very decent result. Then we played Braga in the Champions League and won that 3-0. Then we played Empoli in the league at home and won 2-1. Bologna were up next, a 1-0 win against those, followed by a 3-1 defeat away to Liverpool. I mean, as you can see from here, Nunes and Gakpo, we were out of the game before the 20-minute mark. We did get a consolation from our centre-back, Alessandro Riccio, in the 94th minute, but it was merely just a consolation. Then we played Lazio in Serie A and lost 2-1. Then a 3-0 win against Genoa, followed by a 2-0 win against Salernitana. And after them two games, I kind of said to myself, it feels like we're back now. It feels like we're hitting our stride. We're reaching the kind of form that I would be happy with. And then we played Fiorentina, won 2-1. Then came this Super Cup semi-final thing. And we played Atalanta in Dubai and won 4-0 after extra time. It was 0-0 after 90 minutes. And as you can see, 5 minutes into, or at the end of the first half of stoppage time, in extra time, we took the lead to go 1-0 up. And then Borgia, 2 minutes into the second half of extra time, made it 2-0. And then Askildsen made it 3-0 and Borgia again making it 4-0. So we ran away with it in extra time, really. Then we played Inter in the final, and what a game this was. 4-3, we beat Inter Milan. We had Borgia, I think it was a twisted kneecap that he's got there, and he's been out injured ever since. So that was the 9th of January. It's now the 3rd of February. He's going to be out for another couple of weeks, I think, as well. And yeah, it started off, Borgia gave us the lead 1-0. Then Lautaro Martinez brought Inter Milan back into it 1-1. We then made it 2-1, then 3-1 before Goncalves made it 3-2. We then made it 4-2 with Topolovic, and Fabian then made it 4-3. And thankfully we managed to hang on at the Zayed Sports City Stadium, which I presume is in Dubai as well, Abu Dhabi. So yeah, we had a little trip out there between Fiorentina and Catanzaro. That's where one of our games in hand has come from as well. After that, we then played Catanzaro in the Italian Cup 3rd round. Won that 3-2 again. Just about managed to get hold of a win in that game. Roma was 2-2 away from home in the league. Then we had the Champions League game against PSV, which we won 4-3. I was delighted with that because I thought PSV might beat us. We might be able to get a draw. So to get a win in that game, absolutely thrilled. Atalanta in Serie A, we drew 2-2. Then VfB Stuttgart in the Champions League, we won 2-1 away from home. Before Hellas Verona, we played and won 4-2 away from home there. Topolovic getting a hat-trick in that game. He has been really good for us this season as well. We're about to play Atalanta in the Italian Cup quarter-final, and in the knockout playoff round in the Champions League, we've been drawn against Stuttgart, which, considering we've beaten 2-1 away from home there, I'm pretty confident we can win that. Obviously can't take anything for granted, but we have already beat them once, so there's no reason why over 2 legs we can't beat them again. So if you go back to the competitions page, there you go, Sampdoria versus Stuttgart in the knockout playoff round, first leg, second leg, all that sort of stuff. Winning the Super Cup when we have our end of season review, we'll at least have that on there. And we are into the quarterfinals of the Italian Cup. The competition we are defending, of course. What I will show you is I'll quickly show the medical centre injuries. This is the period in October. Big difference between this season and last season. Absolutely killed us. November was a little bit better. December was a slight increase, but it was a little bit better than last December. We're still picking up a regular amount of injuries every single month. I mean, 7 there to 9 there. It's pretty much 8 there. It's pretty much on a par. I've only just started in February. But yeah, that period in October really, really did hurt us badly. If we have a look at dynamics, team cohesion is very good, club atmosphere is excellent, and managerial support is very good. If we have a look at the finances, we have 21.5 million in the bank, so that's all doing good stuff. We do have a transfer budget, 7.8 million. It's very strange because as the transfer window opened, the club gave me something like £2.1 million transfer budget. And while it was very nice of them to give that to me, I basically had to pump it all into wage budget because we were overspent on our wage budget. So now we have, £45,000 spare in our wage budget. And then in the last week of the January transfer window, they then gave me an additional £7.5 million transfer budget, which again is nice. We don't have a great deal of room in our wage budget, so we're not able to do a great deal with it. And also there weren't many options out there for us in terms of bringing players in. One thing I really did want was a left back. And if we go to the transfers, this guy here, Adam Asnu, he's at Bayern's second team at the moment. He's got a transfer value between 180,000 and 1.8 million. So, and his contract's expiring at the end of this season. So I did put in an offer of £180,000 to buy him now, so we could have him for now, because we do need a left back ideally. And I was prepared to pay up to 1.5 million for. I weren't paying the full 1.8 because his contract's expiring, but I was prepared to pay between 1 and 1.5 million. And then I clicked to suggest terms on the 180,000, and Bayern wanted nearly £5 million. They wanted something like 2.5 million up front, and then another 1.8 or something like that in instalments and add-ons. And I'm like, I'm not giving you nearly £5 million for a player whose contract runs out in 5 months' time. So yeah, I just cancelled negotiations with them, hit approach to sign, and he's now going to be arriving at the end of the season. He is effectively our Ponzi replacement, whereas Tassendi, our left back, he's the one that's not been covered. He's effectively our Ponzi replacement who's going to be leaving on a free transfer in the summer, and Calvin Ramsey is coming in also on a free transfer to cover the right-hand side. So we've covered both the right and the left, as well as getting in the fact that where Ponzi plays both right and left, that's what Asnu does, whereas Ramsey just plays on the right. So I think that's an upgrade on our right and our left-hand side of defence. And yeah, things are going okay without being spectacular. I mean, if you want to see how bad our injury, we've got some players back finally now. But if you want to see how badly our injury situation has been, this is our best 11. Fabio has had a bit of time out injured. That's why he's a little bit down on the sharpness. But if you look at the sharpness levels of most of the players in our team, they are all pretty sharp and pretty ready to play. Borja has obviously been out injured. That's why he's not. Trimbley hasn't played for us this season. He's just gone out on loan. Montevego isn't. And Nicolini, who's currently out injured, also isn't. But other than that, Torreira, Mires, pretty much in the green. This is probably the fittest I've had a squad be, probably in the history of playing Football Manager. And it's basically, we've got injuries to thank for it, because if these players hadn't got out injured, we wouldn't have been using as many players as what we have. And if you want to have a look at how many players we have used, it is only Trimbley. If we go filter by appearances, it's only Trimbley, who we've now sent out on loan, who has not made at least a substitute appearance for us this season. So yeah, we've been getting pretty good game time out of everybody. In terms of our top goal scorers, if you're interested, Pecorino tops that with 12 goals. Then Topalovic tops it with 10 goals. Then it comes second with 10 goals. Then third is Leris with 8. Fernando and Mires both have 6. If we have a look at the assists, Ndombele, I did say that he could be a good player for us. He's on 8 assists, along with Aguero, our attacking left back. Then on 7, we have Topalovic and Navarro, with Leris on 6. So if we have a look at this screen here, in terms of goals scored, we are second best. For goals conceded, 6th best. If we can tighten up a bit defensively and carry on scoring at the healthy rate we are scoring at the moment, then I think we have a good chance, not just of getting top 4, but getting top 3, maybe top 2. But we are also in a situation where if we have another bad injury month like we did with October, we could tumble down to 7th or 8th, maybe even lower in the league. So it's looking a bit dodgy. If we then have a look at the Dev Centre, we'll give you a preview of our youth intake. We're getting A rating for defensive midfielders and strikers. The rest of it looks a bit rubbish. It says an excellent intake. This is a terrific group of players coming through and has the potential to be a real golden generation for the club. We'll see when it comes in. I'll show you that in part 3. One other thing I do want to show you as well, by the way, I was meant to show you this in part 1, but forgot all about it. Before the season started, we had 3 offers of an interview come through. One for Napoli, one for Inter, and one for Manchester United. And bearing in mind, Napoli are currently 2nd, Inter are down in 6th. And I decided to go for the interviews. I weren't going to take the jobs, obviously, but I just wanted to see whether we could get any of these jobs or whether they were just offering us interviews to make up the numbers sort of thing. And the screenshots I'm going to show you on screen are basically Inter and Napoli offering me the job. Now, bearing in mind, what you won't see on the screenshots is Inter and Napoli. I think Napoli had a £2.5 million wage budget and Inter had a £3.5 million wage budget. We've not even got a million. That's what we're working with here at Sampdoria, just to put it into some sort of some sort of order for you so you can see what we're actually looking at. But yeah, that is pretty much it for part 2. I'm now going to play through the rest of the season, see if we can win the Champions League. We're not going to. We might be able to win the Italian Cup. I mean, Juventus is still in it, Lazio, Milan, AC Milan and Roma. So there are still very difficult teams in it. And obviously we're playing Atlanta, that's not a gimme either. But can we win? Can we retain the Italian Cup? How far can we go in the Champions League? And can we get top 4 again in Serie A? Oh, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we've had a really good season. 2nd in Serie A. 83 points, just 6 points behind AC Milan, who they must have gone on a bit of a free fall towards the end of the season. Because at one point, they were quite a few points ahead of us, like double-figure type points. Let's have a look. Yeah, there you go. Look at this. They lost the league game against Juventus, and they lost against Inter Milan. They also lost a couple of Champions League games and whatever around this point. They lost their Italian Cup semi-final 2nd leg against us. They then lost against Napoli. So 3 league defeats in 4 games for AC Milan towards the end of the season for them. Whereas for us, we've lost something like 1 in 23 league games. It's been an incredible, well, second half of the season, just over half the season. If we'd been able to not lose 4 games in our first, 18 it would have been, or 15, then we could... Basically, October is what cost us the title. That's what I'm taking for it. Them injuries in October cost us winning Serie A. And my concern is we might not get this close again next season because AC Milan are dominant. There's no way about it. Looking at everything, I mean, AC Milan have been a thorn in our side. We played them in the Champions League as well. If we have a look at the Champions League, I don't know who's won it yet. Nobody's won it. It's PSG against Liverpool in the final. Real Madrid won it last year, Arsenal the previous season, then Real Madrid again. And yeah, if we got through this knockout round thing, beating VfB Stuttgart 5-3 on aggregate, and then the round of 16 came along and we were pitted against AC Milan, a 1-1 draw in this game, and then I think they beat us 3-2, something like that. Yeah, it must be. I can't do maths, but 3-2 in the previous game. Went out 4-3 on aggregate, and yeah, AC Milan are just... I hate them at this point. I really need to topple them next season. A, so we achieve success on this series, and B, because they're just annoying me because they're so good. We did win the Italian Cup. We beat Juventus in extra time in the final, 2-1. We've obviously won the Italian Super Cup, so that's 2 trophies to our name. Plus we got to the round of 16 of the Champions League, 2nd in Serie A. I think it's safe to say that we've turned Sampdoria back into a top Italian team. Next season will be the final season of this save. We have to win Serie A. I want to get at least quarter-final, semi-final of the Champions League just so we can carry on progressing in there. And if we can win the Italian Cup again, then I will be delighted with that. Winning that 3 years in a row, it will then become our trophy. But if we have a look at the dynamics quickly, just show that team cohesion is excellent, club atmosphere is excellent, managerial support is very good. What I do want to see is I want to see where we are on the icons. We're still only favoured personnel. Oh wow! So we've got 2 Coppa Italias to our name, an Italian Super Cup. We finished second in Serie A, and we're still only favoured personnel. We've not become an icon yet. Maybe after we win the Serie A next season, because we are going to win it. We've got to think positively. We are going to win it next season. Then hopefully we can move over into the icons list. Let's have a look at the schedule anyway. And the last time you was with us was after the game against Verona, before we played Atalanta in the Italian Cup quarter-final. We won that game 2-1. We then played Juventus in Serie A and drew 2-2. Stuttgart was then next up in the knockout playoff round in the Champions League. A 2-2 draw away from home in that game. We then smashed Inter Milan. I couldn't believe what I was watching when this was going on, because Inter Milan are very good. It's not inconceivable that we would beat them, but to beat them 5-0 and away from home, Pecorino getting a hat-trick in this game, Topolovic as well, who he has been my player of the season this season. I love this guy, I really do. I'm certainly going to keep a lookout for him in FM25 because I absolutely love Luka Topolovic. He's really, really good. Then came the second leg of the Champions League knockout playoff round thing against Stuttgart. We won that 3-1. Topolovic on there again. Ramon Mires getting a goal. Then we played Sassuolo in the league. A 4-1 win in this game. Followed, where were we? Sassuolo, yeah. Then we played AC Milan in the Italian Cup semi-final first leg. A 0-0 draw in that game. The fact that it was away from home, I was happy with that. It set us up for the home game. Whenever I play two-legged ties, I always like to keep myself in it in the first leg. You know, if we can win it, great, we'll win it. But if not, draw it, maybe lose it by no more than 1 goal. If you lose it by more than 1 goal, then you're always going to struggle to be able to turn it around, I think, anyway. So then we played Napoli in Serie A and got a 1-1 draw in this game as well. Then AC Milan in the Champions League round of 16 first leg, we lost that 3-2. Salento then were next up in the league in Serie A, and as you can see by this, we fielded a very heavily, basically a fully rotated side, and we won 3-2. Mires getting another goal in there. I will also point out that Ndombele scored. Then we played AC Milan in the UEFA Champions League round of 16. Rested the A team for this game here against Salento because I wanted them to be fresh for this game. We almost done it. 1-1. We couldn't quite win the game, and yeah, out of the Champions League. But we got quite a nice bit of money for the Champions League as well. Frosinone were up next. We won that 3-1. Pecorino getting another couple of goals in there along with Mires coming on as a sub. Torino, we then won 2-0. Udinese, we then won 3-0. Then we played AC Milan in the league, and it was a 2-2 draw. What I'm going to actually do, we'll come back to that in a minute. I'm going to check the past meetings against AC Milan. So I don't think we actually have that bad a record against them. Cagliari were next up in the league, and we won 2-0. Empoli, we won 3-2. Topolovic with another couple of goals, by the way. Then Bologna and a 4-0 demolition in that game. Topolovic again getting on the score sheet. Then we played AC Milan in the Italian Cup semi-final second leg, and we won that one 3-1. That was an amazing performance of us. We really did play well in this game. Then Lazio, we lost 3-1. I don't know if we was just tired or whatever from the game against AC Milan. It was only a few days later, but yeah, we lost against Lazio. Bit disappointed because then that brought an end to a long running streak without losing. The last Serie A game we won, oh, there you go. That's quite odd. I didn't realise that was the case. So the last game we lost in Serie A was against Lazio, 2-1 at home. And then the next time we lose was the next time we played them when they beat us 3-1. So they have certainly got our number this season. Genoa were up next in the league, a 2-0 win in this game. Salernitana, we scraped a 1-0 win. But again, we did have a fully rotated second 11 for that game. Then came Juventus in the Italian Cup final. A 2-1 win after extra time. They went 1-0 up through Dusan Vlahovic. Luka Topolovic pulling it back level. And then 4 minutes into extra time, Luis Fernando getting on a score sheet to make it 2-1 to us, and we held out to lift the trophy for the second year in a row, retaining the Coppa Italia. Then we played Fiorentina, a 1-0 win in that game there. And Cagliari were the final game of the season where we won that one at 2-1 as well. The midfield combination of Topolovic and Fernando getting on the score sheet once again, which does mean that our first team squad, I don't know if we've got a best 11 picked yet, but let's put it down as our best 11. So there you go, Gerard Yepes comes in for our best 11. And I'm kind of looking at this, bear in mind we've got a left back and a right back coming in that will slot straight into this first team. Once they're in, I then look at this team, I think Yepes and Leris are probably the only players in this starting 11 that we started off with when this save first started. Yepes will definitely keep his place. Leris, I'm not sure. I might look at a right-sided midfielder to take his place. I mean, we have got Marco Deli Menash, who, if we bring in, is around the same as him, but he is also 22 years old. He's got a bit of potential as well. He could actually do a little bit better. We do also have Robert Navarro, who has also been very good this season as well. He is actually 3 stars. So it might actually be a case that we play him in this position and that Leris doesn't. But Leris, I believe, is actually the better. I'm a bit concerned by all of this going down, I must admit. But he is the better of the 2 players, in my opinion. Let's just do a quick comparison with him and Navarro. Bear in mind, Leris is in the green, so they're the same for mental. Leris is better defensively. They're the same physically, same for speed, same for vision, same for attacking. Navarro is better technically, but then you're back to Leris being better aerially. What I tend to like to look at is this one here to compare them, because you get a better idea of who's better and who's not. So Leris is not as good as Navarro technically, which it did show on the other chart, but it's only 10-9. Then mentally, Leris is better. And then for physicals, they're exactly the same. So that shows it yourself that there really is hardly anything to choose between them, except the fact that Navarro is younger. Not as valued in terms of his actual transfer value, but he's got more years left in him. So it might be an idea that I look for another person on the right-hand side. I'm not quite sure yet. I might go for another striker. But again, when we look at Pecorino, we look at what he's done this season. 18 goals, 1 assist from 26 appearances in the league at 7.22. That's 19 goal contributions in 26 games. That's decent going. And when we look at him altogether, 47 goals he scored for us in 76 appearances. So 76 appearances, 49 goals. That's better than a goal every other game. His average rating will be over 7 for the 3 seasons he's been here. So I don't really think we can complain too much about him. He has actually been a very good striker for us. So yeah, that's the best 11 so far. But I do feel I might look at bringing in a new centre-back, because Van der Kapp is good, but again, it's going down. He's 28 years old now. He's knocking on a little bit. I don't know. It's going to be an important summer. We need to bring in some players to make us better. We need to bring in first teamers on top of the players that we've already got lined up to come in. In terms of what we're going to have to do that, we have a transfer budget of 25 million and a wage budget of just under that. The wage budget basically hasn't changed, and we've got around £130,000, £125,000 in the wage budget to spend. Before we got our budgets, I did say to, as soon as I saw the email saying board set initial budgets, I looked at it and said, in order for us to win Serie A next season, I need a transfer budget of between 35 to 40 million. 30 million would be the absolute minimum, because we will have players wanting new contracts, which will come out of the wage budget, so we'll have to put some of this into our wage budget. We're probably only going to be able to spend 15 to 17 million of this, and that might not be enough. But we'll see when you tune in for part 1 of the final episode of this save next week, whether or not we will be able to bring in them particular players. In terms of the youth intake, rubbish. It was absolute rubbish. It's been listed as a below average youth intake, and this guy here is their best option, Ivan Lodigiani, deep line playmaker, potential to be 4 stars, will probably be no better than 2.5 to 3 stars in reality. 15 years old at the moment. Yeah, he's just, it's rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. And that is it for this part of it. What I think we'll do now is we will go over to the end of season review and have a look at that. Here we are for the end of season review, and our 2 beautiful little trophies on it. They look really nice. So the Super Cup, the Coppa Italia. Yeah, I'm very proud of our 2 trophies. I'm proud of our 2nd place finish in Serie A, and I'm proud of our round of 16 adventures in the Champions League. Let's have a look at the new arrivals, and these are our new signings. Mario Martin has been given the signing of the season. 22 starts, 7 sub appearances. That's 29 in total. 1 goal, 4 assists at 7.11. That's actually not bad for a defensive midfielder. So yeah, he probably does get that, to be honest. Although this guy should be more highly rated than what he is. Borja also in on a free transfer, same as Martin. 19 appearances, 12 starts, 7 from the subs bench. 6 goals, 4 assists at 7.07. He has been hampered a little bit with injury, but yeah, he's had a decent season. Both of these have been exactly what I got them in for. They've been free transfers to raise the standard of the backup within the squad, and they've absolutely done that. Fabio Chiarodia, from Borussia Mönchengladbach, a big summer signing for 14.75 million. 40 starts, 9 sub appearances, 1 goal, 3 assists at 6.96. I think he's been really good for us. I've really liked him. I wish his rating was a bit higher, obviously, but yeah, it is what it is. I mean, considering we paid nearly 15 million for him, we probably could have done with him being our signing of the season. But I think the fact that these 2 were both free, the board would always go with one of these anyway. In terms of the transfers out, I mean, there's not really anyone on here that we sold. They've mainly all gone on free transfers. But Danny Tassendi, who I was very tempted to keep here, he went to Brianza. He's played more as a substitute than a starter, so he's not really shown me that I was wrong to let him go. 2 assists at 6.98. And then we've got some other players there that just went. I mean, Marco Bontempi, has he not even got a club? No, he's still available on a free. So we let him go, and he's not even found a club. And that would be the same for Marco Sommer. I mean, he's 24, he's 25. So they're both very young, but neither of them have actually found clubs. At least the others have found something somewhere. The most successful, so, has been Gaffey and Aquino. They've played, 37 and 35 appearances each, and got a couple of goals and assists each. So well played to them. If we look at the season's results, in terms of Serie A, we've got an A+ for that, finishing 2nd in the league. We were expected to finish mid-table. Obviously, we've done better than that. 94% home attendance has been filled, and Pecorino is their top league goal scorer with 18 goals. In the Champions League, we got a B for that, 94% capacity filled again. We got to the round of 16. They just wanted us to be competitive, so we've achieved that. Topolovic was our top scorer in the Champions League with 5 goals. In the Italian Cup, I mean, look at all this. We've got Mehdi Leris, Emmanuel Pecorino, Luca Topolovic and Luis Fernando, all with 2 goals as the top goal scorers. A+ for that. We won it. They wanted us to be competitive in it. We've won it for the 2nd year running, beating Catanzaro, Atalanta, AC Milan and Juventus a long way. I've got to say, for a cup competition, it's quite nice because you don't have to play that many games. We've played, 4 teams over 5 games. So very nice when you just come in at the 3rd round, I have to admit. And then the Italian Super Cup, we beat Atalanta and Inter. We won that. C+. I mean, I don't know why we're only getting a C+. We've won it. They wanted us to be competitive. We won it. What more could we have done? So, yeah. Don't know about that one. Biggest win, Italian Serie A, 5-0 win against Inter Milan. That's the biggest win. The match to remember, the UEFA Champions League 2-2 draw against Borussia Dortmund. Goal of the season. Now, if you remember back in part 1, I did say that with his finishing being 16 for long shots, I'm expecting to see him as having goal of the season. I think I said that last season, actually, and it never happened last season, but it has happened this season. The Sampdoria attacking midfielder delights fans and pundits alike by scoring a powerful long-range strike. That is exactly why we've got it. He even won or no, came second, sorry, in goal of the month for one of the games. It might have actually been that one. If it was that one, which I'm thinking about it, I think it was. That was a good goal. It was a very good goal. Anyway, looking at the finals, I love the fact that all this is green. We are a 4-star national team beforehand. We're now 4-star continental. We have done so well with our reputation. No new sponsorship deals, but sponsorship has gone up by just over 3 million, nearly 3.5 million. Broadcast revenue has gone up by a couple of million as well. Corporate and hospitality has gone up by about 400,000. Competition prize money, look at the rise in that from 15.7 million last season to 67.8 million this season, and the vast majority of that is the Champions League. Matchday commercial retail has also gone up by a couple of £100,000 as well. We've made 2.45 million in merchandise sales. 17,656 shirts have been sold. The ones that have sold particularly well has been Leris, Topolovic, Ndombele, Mires and Askilden. So Mires does have value to us. He does sell a lot of shirts. I'm glad Ndombele does. Askilden as well, because he is one of the original players here along with Leris. And Topolovic, I'm just in love with this man. I really am. How we lined up at best 11. Falcone in goal. Aguero and Di Paoli in the fullback positions. Yep. Van der Kaap and Fabio in the centre of defence. Yep. Yepes, Ndombele and Topolovic in the midfield. No, I would have said Fernando in there, but they've gone with Ndombele. Fine with me. Delamenash, I wouldn't have had him as our left-sided player. I would have had the other guy, I forget what his name is now, Della something. I don't know what I've gone with Monash. I really don't. I mean, I know he's made a lot of appearances, but Navarro on the right, again, I would have probably gone with Leris and Pecorino up front. So I don't really agree with this on quite a few of them, but what do I know? Then, in terms of the accolades and all this sort of stuff, I've actually won Manager of the Month for August and the Italian Serie A Most Valuable Coach. Wow, look at that. I am the most valuable coach in Serie A. There you go. That's why I'm wanted by Napoli and Inter and Man United and all that. I'm so good. Club awards for the players. Fans Player of the Season, Luka Topolovic. Yeah, I would have gone with him as well. Young Player of the Season, Luka Topolovic. Sign of the Season, Mario Martin. Goal of the Season, Luka Topolovic. Top goal scorer, Emmanuel Pecorino with 23 goals. Most assists. Now that's interesting. I didn't realise that Tanguy Ndombele had the most assists. Those of you that have criticised me for signing him, I think I'm being justified now. 13 assists. Most player of the match awards was Luka Topolovic with 8. Highest average rating was Luka Topolovic with 7.3. Most passes completed per 90 minutes, Cesar Torrega for 81. I just want to have a look at Topolovic. Does he have a release clause in his contract? Oh my God, he does. It's a £51 million release clause, to be fair. So if someone wants to give me 51 million for him, fine, I'll happily sell him. I don't like him that much that I wouldn't want to sell him for 51 million. Most assists by a player, these are the record breakers. Most assists by a player in a season, Robert Navarro. I think it's adding more to the belief that he should be starting instead of Leris. 13 assists. Most clean sheets by a player in a season, 16 clean sheets for Vladimiro Falcone. Hang on, most assists by a player in a season and most assists. How is that different? Okay, never mind. Most player of the match awards in a season. This game confuses me sometimes. Most player of the match awards in a season, Luka Topolovic with 8. And worst discipline, Fabio Di Paoli with 13 yellow cards. But never getting a red card. Quite important, that one. History in the making. Sampdoria took a little while to get going, but really set themselves up for this with their mid-season run. There's their 2 cups. That spell of football in the middle of the season was the making of Sampdoria. It really set them up for success. And the manager timeline is what the manager timeline is. Right, we have a quick scout through here. This is our overall best 11. Falcone in goal. Aguero and Di Paoli, I agree with those. Amy Van der Kaap, yeah, don't. How has he done this season, by the way? Has he been loaned out or he's at Manchester United? So, okay, so he hasn't gone out on loan. He stayed at Manchester United and made 2 substitute appearances in the league all season. They're going to destroy him, aren't they? He's not going to become the player that he could be because Manchester City just don't know how to use young players. Then Yepes, Askilden and Topolovic in the midfield. I mean, I'd replace Askilden with Fernando or Ndombele. Della Vega, that's the one, Della Vega. and Leris out wide with Pecorino. Do you know what? I think that is a pretty accurate first 11. The only thing I'd really change is Skildson, to be honest. Right, support profile. We still have no corporate. I don't know if that is ever going to change. But the core is down to 33%. The casual is up to 18%. Supporters influence on the board remains high. We've gained an additional 474,000 social media followers. We have 33,364 supporters on the season ticket waiting list. I'm loving seeing this increasing, by the way. Then we'll have a look through here. What are they expending for the end of next season? Reach the UEFA Champions League proper, which we'll do anyway. Record a Serie A top half finish. So there's no reason why we can't accept that. Everything else they're delighted with. So we will accept the vision. Dynamics, there you go. That is what that is. End of season team meeting. What did it say? Top half finish, wasn't it? So we'll just look for where it says top half finish. And they're all pleased. There you go. And then that's all for now. We'll leave them happy, as is always the case. I hate meetings, I really do. Let me know in the comments if you ever attend meetings, you know, where it tells you that attend a meeting because you need to ease expectations for the upcoming match or something like that. Do you ever attend those? I rarely do. I might once in a while, but very rarely do I ever actually go to their meetings. Sampdoria players named in team of the week, and Ndombele and Topolovic in there. Wonderful stuff. Right. What we will, if you remember as well, we have got Calvin Ramsey and Adam Asnu coming in next season. In terms of the players that are going to be leaving at the end of this season in a month's time, is Aguero is going to be leaving, so he definitely will not be here. Fabio Ponzi is leaving. I wouldn't have a problem keeping him around, but he's just already decided he's leaving on a free transfer. And our backup goalkeeper is going to be out the door as well. So we need to get a new backup. We need to get our current goalkeeper signed to a new contract. He's entering the last year next season, along with Giorgini, Daniel Montevego, our whole host of players, Nicolini, Torrego. Some of those will probably be allowed to leave, but we do want to keep Vladimiro Falcone. So Aguero will be leaving, Ponzi will be leaving, which actually means we probably need to buy another left back as well. We do have that one coming in, but then we've not got a backup unless we're using Marco Nicolini, who we have used quite a bit this season. He has got 5-star potential. He does prefer to be a centre-back. He's made 12 appearances in all competitions for us. Only really got a 6.63. He's not been great. He's made 8 league appearances. 6 of those have been starts. So it might be we just lean into using him more, because at least then we've got one player from the youth academy that we've brought through into the first team by the end of the first 5 years here. But yeah, that is pretty much right. We'll show you the medical centre quickly as well, just so you can have a look. That injuries, that was our height, 9 injuries in October. It didn't really ease off a great deal. It remained around 6, 7, 8 for the remaining months. Then it was good in April and good in May. But yeah, that was the killer for us. 57 injuries in total. Not a fan, I must admit. But I'll see you next weekend, next Sunday at 2 p.m, as always, for the final episode of Rebuilding Sampdoria. And then I'll let you know where we're going to be going for the final rebuild of FM24. See you next weekend. Thank you very much for watching.